Diego, where we take a personal look at the hottest trends under the sun. On today's show, we'll have the most San Diego has to offer in love, life, fashion, fitness, food, and all-around entertainment. Live from the studios at KUSI News, inside San Diego.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome. It is Monday. Welcome to Inside San Diego. I'm Sandra Moss.
And good morning. I'm Joe Lazura. Today is Monday, October 29th, and it must be a great day because we have a lot of papers.
Yeah, we have a lot of papers and a lot of people.
It is going to be a good show.
One of them is Lynn Lunceford. Welcome to the show, Lynn.
Thank you.
Lynn is a clinical psychologist. You know her if you watch the program. And in just a couple of minutes, you're going to be talking about the psychological aftermath of these fires.
Right. It's really taken a toll on everybody in San Diego, so I look forward to talking about that.
Yeah, it is. People still stressed out about that, still worried. It's going to happen for a while.
For a while, and probably through Thanksgiving.
All right. We'll be chatting with you in just a couple of minutes. We're glad you're here.
Thank you.
We've got a lot to talk about this morning.
Yeah, we have musicians who are here and dancers who are here.
I know, and then it's a different kind, too. It's a fusion of artistic interpretation and magnificent movement, and it's a show called Let's Duet. And we'll get a preview of this show with live performance in the studio a little bit later on, but you can take a look right now.
And that is a lot harder than it looks. Also this morning, fashion consultant Leslie Haynes is back to show us the best in knitted fashions that won't leave your wallets empty.
And Rod Luck is in the East Village at Salazar's Fine Mexican Food. Good morning, Rod.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Here I am at the corner of 15th and Market with a lot of construction going on around us. The East Village growing up. Standing below this sign at Salazar's, which has been here a long time. Authentic Mexican food, my friends, and believe me, it's very authentic. Coming right from some good people and a good kitchen. You're going to get a chance to go inside San Diego in a little bit.
All righty, Rodney. We'll see you in just a couple of minutes. Stay tuned for that. Also, the 12th annual chef celebration is coming up, and we are getting a taste of some of the dishes that will be featured at one of the restaurants hosting that dinner.
Very cool. And sunspots, a common problem among women. A medical statistician is here to tell us how we can treat and prevent them.
I'm all ears on this one. If you live in sunny San Diego.
It's important. Whether you're from Arizona or Southern California, very important.
Problem a lot of us have. So thanks for looking in on this Monday morning. And here's what's hot this morning. What we're talking about, cell phones. The reverse 911 system may be coming to your cell phone. You have to ask for it, though.
First of all, most people don't even know, other than California, here in San Diego, most other major cities have never even heard of this.
I hadn't until last week.
Right, I heard about it a year and a half ago when they said, okay, we're going to roll this thing out. I thought, well, how's that ever going to work? How are these people going to call, get calls at once? Who's going to call 300,000? It worked magnificently. People got calls, and even those people who evacuated ahead of time were able to, when they got home, found the message on their machine.
Right.
But now you're going to be able to register your cell phone for this.
And you know what? It's a great not only in a fire, but in an earthquake or some other disaster that happens. We saw how well the reverse 911 worked in San Diego, so it may be used more.
Right, and you should, if you want to do this, you should put your cell phone numbers on there and your kids' cell phone numbers on there so that they're alerted as well. So if you're separated, because disasters happen when you least expect it, especially an earthquake. At least fires, you know something's burning most of the time, but and not always, but most of the time. But during an earthquake, it happens when you least expect it, and your kids could have sleepovers, for example, or you're just separated, business trips or whatever. So even if you're out of town, you'll know that there's an emergency going on.
Something bad's going down at home.
How many people do we know who knew people that are on vacation while their houses burned down?
Yeah.
That, and a lot of people are going away from landlines in their homes. People have just cell phones now, or have Vonage, which is the computer. So that left those people sort of out of the loop.
The only way to get a hold of them these days. So anyway, look for that. And you saw the information on how to get that, the graphic that we put up, the website. It's alertsandiego.org. There it is. You can go ahead and get your cell phone signed up for this free service.
I will be doing that right after the show.
It's a great idea.
So remember what it is.
It's a great idea. AlertSanDiego.org. Also this morning, did you watch the game on TV?
I did watch the game.
Yeah.
Now, what did you think in the middle of last week when they said, well, we're still deciding whether to have the game or not?
I didn't think there'd be a chance there would be a game, actually.
I didn't think so either.
With air quality, I wasn't sure how they were going to do that, but I guess it cleared up enough.
But what did you think after you saw? Did you watch any of the game?
Oh, the whole game. I'm a big Chargers fan.
I think think it made it look like we have our act together here in San Diego. And we really do, even though people are still dealing with a lot of their issues with the fires, generally speaking, we have our act together. And then this went on.
Yeah, look at that. The Salvation Army collecting in their buckets. They collected more than $73,000 from fans as they lined up to go in. Those are just preliminary figures. You know that'll go up. The governor was there. And you know, it was interesting because I know some people who were at the game, family members included, they were a little bit worried because people didn't go into the actual stadium till the very last minute because they were in lines trying to give money. And at first, some of my friends said, man, what if a lot of people don't come to this game? What if there's only, 20,000 fans?
Right.
But there were 65,000 easy fans.
You know, and Bridget Naso said to me that the Chargers also donated $1 million. So,
about that?
and I didn't know that, so that was even nicer to hear. So that's good news.
It's great. The city needed this.
Yeah.
The city, it just goes to show how important the Chargers are.
Yeah.
to
The
San Diego.
whole opening was so motivating, and to listen to Governor Schwarzenegger speak, it was just really a great event Sunday.
And honoring the firefighters
Yes.
and the sheriff's officers,
Not a
police.
separate note, the governor, by the way, has done a fantastic job. All party lines aside, or
Right.
I agree.
I mean, he has done a really amazing job.
I agree. He's been everywhere all the time and showing that he really
Yeah.
cares. Also, for people, it's hard to even imagine what must be happening for the people who don't have a home to go home to. Most people are able to get back to their homes. So I think 2,000 people are still under evacuation orders this
That's
morning.
a lot. 2,500 people still staying in shelters. And
Various
things like that. Yeah.
shelters. Anyway, there's an interesting article in today's Union Tribune about what's happening for the people. What happens to your mortgage? Do those payments, are they still expected on time? And the answer is, for many people, no. We have an 800 number. It's an insurance hotline number that people can call for information, to get information about their mortgage. They're not going to forgive your mortgage for the month or two, but what they will do is they'll put it off. They'll make it easier for people to pay. And that's really important for people
Especially
out there.
since, once you're declared a disaster area, a federal disaster, all different rules apply. And that's why it's so important that they come in and they declare the area a disaster. It helps. It may not necessarily be something that gets dollars into your bank account that day, but what it does is it helps with a lot of other rules and regulations that all automatically kick in.
Right.
Whether it's simple things like your DMV fees for getting your paperwork reprinted disappear, or whether it's fast tracking your permit to rebuild your house, or stopping the payment process on your existing mortgage.
800-927-4357 is the number to call. And with all these different collections that are going on, I'm wondering, where exactly does that money go to? If you donate to the Red Cross or if you donate to Salvation Army, it's for people who are homeless, right?
Well, they do. They keep them in accounts. I mean, nowadays, this money is much more well accounted for than it ever was in the past from previous disasters.
But what about people who have insurance? Their homes burned down and they'll be reimbursed for that. So how are they helped by all of this? I guess that's my question.
It depends if they need money for something. And maybe they're, not everybody has everything insured. For example, if you don't have the right policies in place and you have 3 or 4 kids and you're displaced and all their computers burned,
right?
Okay, you may only have a $1,000 policy that covers that or something. I mean, they're all different.
So is that where this
things,
money is going?
I guess
Some of
you
this
could
money
ask,
that's
I
being
guess you
collected?
could ask for relief if you can't afford to buy.
Yeah.
That and processing the claims, some of them can take some time. So I think that there's some urgency money available to help people through the next few weeks and months.
Right.
And we've seen stories in the last couple of mornings of people who've lost everything and they weren't insured. And those are the people that, hey, I need to buy some clothes, I need food, and I need it today. I don't have any money.
Gosh.
So that's
well,
what that
people
does.
are looking out for them, too. And, we all know that most of these wildfires are now under control, but the damage is done. And a lot of folks have returned to home to find nothing, as we've been telling you. And as a result, they may have a fear of fires.
And that's what Lynn Lunceford is here to talk about with us this morning. So, again, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
You're a clinical psychologist, so you have some experience in all this, obviously.
Right.
What are we in for here in the next couple of weeks?
Well, what we were talking about even before the show started is that people who weren't evacuated are also going to be impacted. We're focusing a lot on the people who did lose their homes, but people who were impacted in a number of different ways are going to feel a variety of things. They're going to feel sadness, perhaps some low-grade depression. A lot of us feel anxiety and unsettled because it was so unpredictable. So we can feel a lot of different things. If it lasts more than a month is when we start to become concerned that it's perhaps something you might need some help addressing. Other than that, it's really fairly normal.
You know, I think for the people, and there are 2,000 families who basically been affected by this with their homes destroyed,
Right.
but there are tens of thousands of others out there who basically last week was a lost week.
Yes.
Every appointment was canceled, school was out, and now
Businesses
it's
were
catch-up
closed,
time.
everything.
And the tension and the stress is on even more.
Right, and last week I think was even harder because when we don't have our normal routines, it's even more unsettling for people. So this week, getting back to a routine is important, even if you're still displaced, even if you're still staying with friends or at a hotel. It's important to try to establish some kind of routine because otherwise it's difficult to feel like you're getting back to normal in any way.
Right. How do you do that, though? I mean, that's easy to say. That's really hard to do when you don't have a house to go back to.
It's very hard to do, but I think if you can try to eat your meals at the same time, if you can try to set some expectations about we're going to do this at the same time every day, just to set in any kind of routine you can help.
And if you have kids, I don't think people realize kids are very flexible. They'll adapt to most situations.
It's an adventure.
You just have to talk about it. You know, you've got to let them express their feelings when they're ready to express them, right? Not force them to, but just,
Right.
you know.
That's right, and different ages of kids talk differently. So the young kids are not just going to talk freely about what they're experiencing. We do play therapy when we do therapy with kids because they talk more when they're doing something. And so if you have a routine or something, a game you can play, go walking, go bike riding, your kids will be more likely to talk about what's going on. But even kids who aren't verbal will show symptoms. They'll somaticize. They're going to have stomach aches and headaches. This week we're going to see some school refusal, some kids who aren't going to want to go to school more than anything because they're afraid something's going to happen to mom or dad or the house when they're gone because the fires were so surprising on Monday morning.
All right. It's true. All right, we have a couple things to look at. A couple of these tips real quick, I guess, that you put together for us. First of all, you've mentioned a couple things here, but these are kind of new. Difficulty focusing. What about nightmares, things like that?
Right, the sleep disturbances are very common, either sleeping too much, sleeping too little, nightmares where you're just processing what happened. And the difficulty concentrating can come from the sleep disturbance. We are normally a society that's very good at multitasking, but if you noticed last week, you probably weren't as good at it. Things
Right.
easily distracted you. And so getting back to normal means trying to focus on one thing at a time until it's completed so you can start to feel like, okay, I accomplished that, that's over, let me move on to the next thing.
Even, you know, homework with the kids and everything. I told my kids, well, this is a great opportunity to catch up on your homework. Did anybody open up a book?
Not a chance.
I don't think so. You know,
chance.
it's
No,
hard to
really?
concentrate.
It's very hard. It's hard just not to watch the TV.
Right.
We have some other tips too, I think. Let me see if we have them real quick for you.
think we have 2 boards
do we
to
have it?
show.
Here
Here we
go.
go.
Right. Okay, so here's some things that people can do, right?
Right, we talked about doing things together that helps kids talk, but helping others is another great way to get some control in a situation where you feel out of control. Helping others makes you feel like you've got some power and some ability to impact what's happening. It can also really teach your kids how to channel some of their anxiety and help others.
So helping in like by donating things, by going to a relief site, by doing what?
Any of those things, even having people over, neighbors perhaps who were displaced or child care for neighbors who might need it. Anything you can do that feels like you're helping will help you feel like you've got some control in a situation where we all felt very powerless.
Sure. And rehashing, you say that's not a good idea. I thought talking was good, Lynn.
I know. That's my business, right?
Talking is one thing. Rehashing is too much. Yeah.
Right, just staying
Yeah,
stuck
sure.
there can be too much. Knowing what you need is really important. Some of us like to talk, and that's how we feel better. Others kind of need some privacy and some quiet time. I was at a party on Saturday where that was almost all anybody talked about, and at a certain point you feel like, that's enough. I really need to talk about something else.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I heard people say that too. They could only take so much, and finally, that even the TV had to go off.
Right.
It was just overwhelming, basically. All right, what is if you don't get over this, by what time should you get some help?
Well, you might start feeling like you're getting over it in the next couple of weeks, then Thanksgiving's going to hit, and we will see a lot of this replayed in the news, and people are going to talk about it again. If you last beyond Thanksgiving consistently, then you really ought to think about getting some help. Even if it feels low grade, someone can help you just process that and move on.
Lynn Lunceford, thank you so much.
Thank you, Lynn.
It was good to
thank
talk
you.
to you.
Thanks.
Glad that your house was just fine and all
Thank
of
you.
this
You
as
too.
well. All right, coming up next on Inside San Diego, it's the 12th annual Chef Celebration happening tomorrow. Coming up later in the hour, we're going to get a taste of what will be served from one of the restaurants hosting the event.
That should be fun.